Hello everybody, it's Jonathan Lloyd James here and welcome once again to the Cult VR Lab in Cardiff. Today we're going to be looking at a subject which came about as a result of an Instagram ad, that being Guardian Tales, as you can see behind me. This game claims that it is as good as 2D Legend of Zelda, which for me is a very lofty claim indeed. So let's take a little look at the Legend of Zelda series to explain why it's important to me and to set the standards on whether this game can actually match what is total genius.
Let's be clear, there are no games franchises with more games that I love than The Legend of Zelda, and the 2D games are phenomenal. In fact, it was Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo that got me into action-adventure gaming. In terms of my resume, I've beaten Link to the Past, both versions of Link's Awakening, Oracle of Ages and Seasons, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks and Link Between Worlds. To claim another game is in their league? That's a heck of a claim to make.
So just to be clear, this isn't a paid promotion, this is just something I fancied doing myself. Let's take a look at how good it really is.
First, we're going to take a look at the graphics.
Now, if you're looking for graphical extravaganzas like Dark Souls or Breath of the Wild or something like that, this isn't going to be the game for you. This game is retro, and that's how we've got to judge it.
Due to that, you need to compare it to something that's similar, and for me, the best 2D retro graphics I've seen recently was the mesmeric Octopath Traveler. Does it look as good as Octopath Traveler? Not quite. It is, however, a very attractive game. It's bright and colourful, the sprites are put together nicely, and the cutscenes on occasion look gorgeous.
Now, sound-wise, this is a real standout for the game.
The tracks in the game are epic when they need to be, upbeat when they need to be, and menacing when they need to be. All at a high standard, whilst the sound effects more than hold up against other games of its type.
So next up, the all-important question, gameplay. So how much is it like The Legend of Zelda? Well, not a lot. But intriguingly, that doesn't really matter.
True, it has the action-adventure combat of Zelda to a certain degree, but the levelling up system using crystals as experience points, along with the awakening grid that resembles the sphere grid in Final Fantasy X, takes it down the path of a more traditional RPG. The map per world element that actually reminds me a little of Super Mario Bros. 3 rather than a sprawling overworld will no doubt lead to complaints of linearity, but I've always thought those were poor complaints as long as you enjoy the game. I love the humour in the game. One such example being when you discover the Master Sword from Legend of Zelda and proceed to pulverise everything around you, only for a blacksmith who is supposed to be helpful to turn up and try and make the sword more powerful, breaking it into a million pieces in the process. There's a couple of criticisms I'd throw at the game, however. In between the main levels are mini-levels that involve nothing in the way of exploration or furthering the storyline, and it makes it feel like you're bashing the shoot button with not a lot of thought on what you're actually doing. Secondly, they haven't quite got the dialogue interactions 100% right. Sometimes I can touch a character and start a chat, and then I press the button to start a chat, leaving the dialogue stuck halfway. This is only a minor complaint though.
The one thing I really love about Guardian's Tales is it actually does treat you like an adult. There's no random secondary character going, "Oh, the enemy's tail's glowing, I wonder if that's a weak spot." It actually just lets you get on with the game and learn as you go along, and that I really, really like.
The training section is brief, and I'll be honest, there are elements to the game I still don't understand, but every time I work out what something does, I get an air of accomplishment. What do these yellow crystals do? Still have no idea. Answers in the comments. On the lifespan, you have a massive amount of customisable weapons, accompanied by a massive amount of customisable characters, placed over 13 worlds with numerous side quests. And that's not factoring in elements I haven't explored like the resource dungeons, or what I can do with the town screen at the start. For a free game, I find that quite incredible.
So is it comparable to 2D Legend of Zelda? No. Does that matter? No.
It's what you get if elements of all the great 2D action RPGs got together and made a baby. Whilst you may still love the parent more, you can't help but be delighted in what the baby turned out to be.
So I have friends who hate 2D retro gaming, and that's absolutely fine. This game definitely isn't for them. But for a fan like me, this has kept me coming back for more. And that's all you can ask for.
I really wanted to hate this game. I imagined it to be a bit like Matcherton Manor, where the adverts that you see on Instagram and Facebook have absolutely no relation to the game whatsoever. But in fact, my biggest gripe is, I actually want this without all of the in-game purchases for £40 on my Switch. It's that good.
Outstanding.